Alrighty then. The thing says we're live, and we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and whatever you may identify as, and everything in between, we are now live on this Internet of Stuff and Things. My apologies for the delay. I realize I see there were some good folks there in the chat and everything that were waiting and that I've obviously driven away. My sincere apologies for that. We'll just go over real quick. I see Monterey, my apologies on that one, as well as Laszlo, good to see you around. Race, good to see you as always, my friend. And now we'll just jump right into it. What's the difference between super chatting and simping? Because it seems like this word simp has come up. It's entered the internet vernacular as of late and everything. And I see it specifically usually being used against folks that people tend not to be fans of and everything. It seems to kind of be a Twitch thing. People are saying, oh, look at these Twitch gals that are taking people's money and everything. And people are giving money and expecting, I don't know, acknowledgement, something, this, that. Some folks would say they are looking for perhaps the future of sexual favors or something down the line and everything. And I sit back there and I see some of these people saying these things. And then I start to notice some of these same people seem to, oh, I don't know, be giving money to other folks for acknowledgement and everything as well. Hey, Dark Hunter as well. Yes, Monterey, I am late. As far as the other part, I don't know. Perhaps I've questioned myself at some points or another, but that's okay. And the reason why I say this, because I are simp. I'm a total simp. Is the thing. It's like I got to acknowledge myself. Now, why would somebody do something like that and perhaps not consider themselves a simp? Hey, I don't know what's in another person's head nor heart. While at the same time, I'm like, oh, well, if we're using this as an offensive term in order to, yes, as I fade in and out because of the green screen fade there, it's all right. StreamYards is not the biggest fan of Max, but we're going to attempt to do this, and the reason why I've done this is because, well, people seem to be kind of used to StreamYards, and then I can do stuff like this, aka I copy it, and I can post the link right there in the chat. So anyone that would like to come up and have words and basically explain to me the difference, because I seem to be a little confused about things, because as well on YouTube, there's a super chat feature. I ain't gonna lie. Am I a bit ornery that I ain't monetized as well? Of course I am. I love money, dragons, and turtles. See, it's not just a simple binary. You got all these different things going on as well. But it's just, I was talking to some folks earlier. I'm like, all right, so what's the difference? It's like, well, you're expecting something. It's like, well, people send super chats very often. They're looking to receive a certain level of acknowledgement. They're looking to get some attention. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's what these folks that people are labeling quote unquote simps are doing. Maybe they just want a little attention from somebody, be it female, be it male, whatever it is there. It's like, I think everybody likes having some kind words said about them once in a while. It makes people feel good. And then we kind of start labeling these different things. So I think clarification is very useful. Yes, Wookie. Yes. Am I being, I'm not sure. I've never seen that spelling of the word cuck before. Is that the Canadian version? I don't know. Maybe it is. Oh, and we have our first guest. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Race. Race has, Golden Age Radio.
Yep, that's right.
All right. So Race, let me ask you the question. What's the difference between super chatting and simping?
Yeah, I'd say simping has more. There's an attitude behind simping that's different than just donating to your favorite streamer. Because
Okay.
You've seen around the streamer sphere, as it were, that there are dudes who will donate super chats to female streamers that expect really nothing in return. They're just trying to get their 2 cents in on the conversation. Like, anything Weibo Jones does, for instance. Everybody there is just chill. They're not trying to get into her panties. You know what I mean? But I mean, there are certain hubs elsewhere where there seems to be there's a strange affection that's implied there. Uh, and I think I subscribed in chat. The best way to think about simps is an older term that we used to use called pay piggies. I'm not sure if you're financial domination.
No, that's a thing on certain hubs, which is of the porn hubs, which I've totally spent money and stuff like that because I am a total weirdo and I have plenty of problems and everything, but I fully accept that. That is part of myself, and I also attempt to get a little better and improve my lot in life. So,
Yeah.
but now going back to what you were saying about Miss Jones over there. So what you're saying is has simped in the form to Weibo because she happens to be an attractive young lady and everything, and folks like to get some attention from people that they happen to like and they would like to continue onwards. Because what I've heard is basically you super chat or you subscribe to someone's Patreon because you would like to support what they're doing and have them continue on. And if all of a sudden, if folks on another platform are being kind of, let's say, kind of almost mocked because they're doing that, it's like, I know not what dwells in another person's head nor heart, but at the same time, I'm like, well, at least objectively on the outside, I'm like, it seems similar. No?
It's mostly dependent upon their behavior. Now, I don't like the whole mind reading aspect of people trying to get into, because nobody can fucking read minds. They're just projecting ideas onto this person just so that way they can one up them. There's so much one-upmanship that goes on the internet. It's more about winning than it is actually proving a point. So, but as far as what can differentiate simping from the just regular super chatting, again, it's just there seems to be something more going on. There's an implicit affection. Whereas going back to what you were saying about donating to titty streamers, like on the ChatterBaits or the OnlyFans or whatever, it's explicit what's going on there. Right. Very explicit. Nobody's trying to bullshit anybody. With the simping stuff that goes on, that whole thing is made implicit. Nobody's just coming straight out and admitting it. They're trying to. It's like the nice guy who tries to pretend to be your friend just to get in your panties. It's kind of like in that realm of behavior, as far as I can tell.
Now, the reason why I say this is because I keep in the back of my mind, it's like, okay, I've given money to get some acknowledgement, but then again, it's like I've also donated money to people whom I also happen to feel a certain level of attraction to as well. I mean, part of it is to be part of the conversation, but if I delve deep into the depths of my mind, I'm like, part of me is like, wouldn't be bad. I wouldn't be against it. So at least if I acknowledge that in myself, I'm like, okay, if I'm a weirdo and that happens to be able to admit that, and that goes on the back of my head, how many other people is that going on the back of their heads? And again, I really don't care. It's more of kind of just the hypocrisy that I see. Like a lot of folks are hating on folks that are like, oh, you're just giving money because of this. So our minds are going to the worst place. We're assuming malice or ill intent there. But then when I see some of these folks that maybe are kind of hating on these people, engaging in what, at least objectively, if I'm going to go to the worst place, I could assume is the same thing, that, I don't know, that kind of seems weird. It's the hypocrisy that usually bothers me, and that's why I kind of threw that out into the Twitters and was just kind of curious about having this discussion, having people maybe explain it to me, because, I mean, I don't know what's going on here. The internet's a very strange place, so, but, yes. And we have some acknowledgments here. Wookie's saying, I've simped before I got married. It ruined my life, and that's what happens to simp. So basically what Wookie I'm kind of taking away is you're saying, basically just be aware of what's going on, and that you could basically just be wasting all this money and then not have money on other things that are more necessities as well. So, no, that's a good point. So, I don't know, Race. Race. What else we got? Just because I feel like this seems to be almost kind of like a platform war here. I see a lot of folks on YouTube throwing simp out there and everything, and kind of like you were saying, kind of the offensive manner in order to kind of degrade people. Yet, if they're also giving super chats that, if I'm going to assume the worst, well, is there a difference? I don't know, man. I don't
Yeah,
know.
if there is definitely people are just using it as a way to put down fan bases of people they don't like.
Hmm.
It's like calling somebody a cuck, which has gone the way of this has gone the way of the dodo bird as far as I can tell. Nobody uses that word anymore. But now we have this other word that means basically the same thing. So it's just more of the same as far as I can tell.
Well, to clarify for the audience, cuck, I believe, was derived from cuckolding, which was basically somebody that
Right.
takes pleasure in seeing their significant other engaging in intimate actions with another individual that is not their normal partner.
Right. That's
This
where it came
basically, you're
from.
just giving money to support somebody for whatever reason we have here, be it positive or negative. And if we don't, if
Yeah.
there's discrepancy there, then
Eventually, though, it kind of just became a slander for anybody who's in favor of the other side. Like someone I used to hear a lot in the anti-Israel circles. Cucking for Israel.
hmm,
Like what the fuck does that even mean? But yeah, it's something that got used a lot, and it probably still gets used in some places.
hmm.
Uh, but yeah, it just means well, as I don't even really need to define because it's a dead meme. So
Well, that's it. Well, here's
so
the
it's like
thing, man. Good memes never truly die. They just kind of go into hibernation for a while.
yeah,
There.
or they transmutate. Like again, we don't use cuck, but people use simp, and people are using it basically the same way. So
Right there. And where was it? Oh, hold on. I got Shell back here. Yeah, this was his same response on Twitter. He said that super chatting involves thought, whereas simping involves thought, basically the more negative aspect. When we have another venture into the party here. Hail, Brian.
who did
Welcome, sir. Welcome to the chat.
What's up, memes? How
We're
you
just
doing?
we're just having a discussion. As we all know, nobody would ever stir the pot on the internet. I'm totally
No,
stirring the pot
no,
on the internet now. So,
no.
let me
No, I
adjust the
think
layout. Okay,
I think you set the bar for that, sir. Um,
I try. I try.
no, I just got this new thing from Amazon. I'm gonna try to convert some of my old lost tapes into digital format. So I'm setting that up. While it's like, oh, maybe I'll hop in there on my phone, see how you're doing, talking about simping and what's the difference between simps and super chats.
I,
But
I I know. So, what say you, Brian, the observer? What's the difference between super chatting and simping?
well, I mean, it could be a super chat, could be a PayPal, could be whatever you want to call it, means a donation. Um, I don't. I mean, there's a difference between okay, I'm going to give this person money because I like them, and
Hmm.
like okay, well, and that person's like, hey, if you want to send me some shekels, here's a link to that. Go ahead. But the simping involves to where you know that you're kind of getting a tease, kind of like a strip tease or something else or whatever. Um, and then people give you money based on that. Normally, it's in a sexual tension sort of way, but it could
So,
be
so sort of
something
like
else.
some of the bounce tubers.
Yeah, pretty much, it kind of thing. And I think the problem lies outside of the sexual tension, maybe with you know some YouTubers or Twitch streamers or whatever you want to say that have gotten popular, and people kind of get a dopamine hit
Hmm.
when that person that has X amount of followers recognizes them,
Yeah, it's like I've been
and so
recognized by senpai.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, sympathy. Yeah, yeah. It's like recognize me, senpai. Things like that. So I think, well, you just change that I to the E. There you go. Simp. Uh,
Oh, I didn't even pick up on that. Good one, sir.
You could say simpai, not senpai, and there you go. But no, I think that there's a legitimate place for both. Well, not a legitimate place, but there is one that separates the other. Like obviously, I know you that if you get monetized, are you monetized?
Not currently. I mean, partially, and again, I fully admit that part of this is at least a bit of frustration on my part because I went back and I just rediscovered the password to my old YouTube channel from like over a decade ago that was actually extended the partner program at the time, and I'm like, wait, what is this? No, I'm doing my corporate gig and stuff like that, and I look back and I'm like, oh, I was an early adopter. I could have done this or that or the other thing, but c'est la vie. We're here now, and we're discussing the difference between super chatting and simping.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like at this point, like I know you or I for sure, we would not reject monetization, and we certainly wouldn't reject any super chats or donations heading towards our way. And so, yeah, if someone does super chat, you should take the time to read it. But I know that some of us that are smaller channels will read whatever else is in the chat. But still, it's not like you don't notice. But once it becomes a lot of people, then I guess that super chat's a way to get in. But it's a catch-22. It just depends on what the context is. Like, hey, it could be some sort of breaking thing that person has no clue that's happening. Could be a good way to super chat in, or it could be something that you're promoting to get that person to read it on a large platform.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say it's a gray area.
No, I acknowledge, and as the Supreme Court has ruled in certain contexts, money equates out to speech as well. So, I mean, I can acknowledge that. And the way YouTube actually kind of gets around it and everything is basically the amount of money you give enables the amount of characters and how long it actually appears up there on the bar as well. My thing is I'm deriving it depends on the motivation, because that's what I'm hearing from folks right now. No? Maybe? Race, your thoughts?
Yeah.
Well, I was wanting to go back to what the point he brought up about kitty streamers, as they're called. There are definitely some women out there who are kind of preying on young men, the preying upon the thirst, like, and trying to the biggest example of women maliciously using that to make money would be Amaranth, who constantly has wearing very low cut tops, trying to tease the audience and everything, making it seem like, and even claiming that she's single when in fact she's married.
Okay, so now we're talking about false advertisement in that respect there as well.
False promises, yeah.
Okay, so the solution to that is we need to become more woke then. You kind of see the conundrum. Well, here's the thing. Now I hear folks complaining about very often, and again, it's not necessarily a sex thing in regards to a particular, let's say, perhaps a biological sex there, but if I see folks kind of saying it's like, oh, you're trying to make women seem less attractive and everything, and now you have women embracing it and utilizing aspects of capitalism in order to earn a living, and we're hating on that, doesn't that seem kind of hypocritical?
Where does the politics play into it, though?
Does it? Well, everything's politics nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. That's sort of the problem. I've been saying this for a while. Political activists and commentators, as a general rule, are mentally disturbed people. That's why I've been trying to distance myself from that streamer sphere, But so yeah, that's definitely part of it. Like they want to try to inject their politics into this kind of thing, when all it is just if some men are being preyed upon by these women, and some men are just throwing themselves at these women who aren't even trying to
Right. But isn't that the free market? The free market is, if the free market says we want to give money to beautiful women because reasons, that's a free market principle, no?
True.
What are we, a bunch of commies?
My problem is not that they're doing it, because firstly, I have no stake in the outcome. I'm just here to describe what I see. That's why I came on stream. Just describing what I see. But ultimately,
It
if men freely
means I
give their
gotta.
money to these women,
Yeah.
it's like it's your money. Do what you want. But I mean, is there better things you could have spent your money on?
Yep. Go ahead,
It
Brian.
means I got to dip out. Thanks for having me on, and yeah, this is a really good conversation. So those that are in the chat, please retweet this out, share it on Facebook, whatever, because this is an important conversation that we all need to have. It's a good moral ethic conversation. All right, memes. You have a good stream and YouTube race.
Cool. Hey, thanks for popping on, Brian. Peace out. You be safe,
Thanks
brother.
for having me. All right, you too.
But yes, I appreciate that little shill right there. I tend to not be the biggest fan of doing it myself because I think most folks don't usually like shilling themselves, even though it has proven to be useful as well. And let's bring up a topic here as well, because we don't want to forget about the chat. My apologies, because the chat makes us up. Oh, as I see a Sheo. Uh-oh, everybody be wary. Sheo is here. It's and that's the thing there, as well as we got the Dark Hunter as well. Though I believe Dark Hunter, the quote unquote boomer girl, she ended up telling folks that she did have a boyfriend, and then all of a sudden she lost some of the traction of the following. So there definitely is something to that aspect of, in a lot of people's minds, that oh, maybe there is something here. But then again, it's not like men over the course of hundreds or thousands of years have gone out of their way to spend money on women they find attractive.
Yeah, I mean, let's answer this question. What is the oldest profession?
It's it goes up as well as welcome Rackus. We're busy trying to disrupt the flow of the current meta of the internet as well, because apparently giving money to attractive ladies on Twitch is simping, but giving money to attractive or whatever YouTuber on YouTube, it's cool. What's the difference?
I do want to bring up one other different piece of information. We're going back to what you were saying regarding using simp as a slander
Welcome, Vance. Sorry.
fan bases. And I definitely say that with a lot of people who are using this as an insult, some of it comes down to jealousy, because women streamers definitely have it easier, especially if they're better looking ones. Whereas guys like us, we have to fight our way into the marketplace of ideas for the most part. I mean, look at Lauren Southern, someone who used to be very big in the Republican YouTube sphere,
mm-hmm.
right? Was charging $6,000 a week for an ad on her show at one point.
Okay, well, that's market principles, man. Supply and demand.
Yeah, I only know 6,000 because I actually tried to advertise on our show, and I was like, no, way out my budget. Sorry.
That's if you can charge for it and people are willing to pay, that's the thing. Willing buyer, willing seller. If somebody is willing to part with their money for whatever reason, as long as somebody's not lying about something, again, what's the problem? It kind of goes into, and I hear what you're saying, almost the demonization of people. It's like, well, I gave a super chat to that YouTuber because they're cool and they're part of my group and I support what they're saying. Whereas if it's somebody we don't like, oh, you're just being a simp now.
Yeah, that is definitely a big part of it. And again, a lot of it actually is more. There is a jealousy aspect to it, because why are these women getting money when they're just a lot of times, admittedly, they are just regurgitating stuff that other men have already said like 3 or 5 years ago. And
well, I mean, nobody would ever regurgitate what another person has said in order to try to prove a point or get a following.
True. And there's definitely, because I actually know guys who used to bitch about this a lot. I hung out with a circle of like right-leaning commentators who I don't associate with anymore.
Yes, go on.
And they used to bitch about how all these about how back when Lauren Southern first got started, they were bitching about hers like a lot because of she just kind of came in and started saying everything all those guys were saying, and then boom, it was like 250,000 subscribers on her YouTube channel. And whereas, these guys have been doing it for like 10 years, haven't even broken 10,000 subscribers. So I think there's definitely a jealousy aspect to this as well.
So it's those whom we don't like that give money to people that we assume they are doing it because they find them attractive, we label as simps. Yet when we give money to other YouTubers that are part of our group, we're just being good community members.
Yeah, there's definitely a huge hypocrisy there. When it's in that dimension. Again, there's that other dimension of, people like Amaranth who are just trying to like prey on thirsty guys. But they're related issues. But I mean, there are two separate sides of the coin here. One's more of an question of ethics, whereas one's just more of a jealousy and everything. So.
Well, that's the whole point. This seems to be a multi-factor thing, and just to simply assuming it's binary, that kind of irks me a little bit. And again, I've tossed the link to the stream in the chat below, so anybody that's in the chat, being great commentators, feel free to join.
I'm not saying it's only a two-sided thing. Those just seems to be the two biggest ones that I've identified so far. I'm sure there's other factors in play. Again, this seems to be the things that come up over and over again, more often than other things. Is all I'm saying.
I believe the way Wookiee is defining it, saying that basically if you got your member out during a Twitch stream and you're giving that person money, that is what defines a simp. Okay, so at that point, if you are actually directly deriving personal pleasure while somebody's mentioning your avatar name or something like that, that is how he seems to be defining it as simping. Okay, that is very interesting. Now, my question is, we all know that there's nobody on the greater YouTube sphere that would ever send a super chat and do the same thing. Awkward silence. That's all I'm saying, man. That's all I'm saying. That's why words are important and definitions are important. And if you feel this is a worthwhile discussion, again, as I'm going to insert shill here, feel free to smash a melee button of whatever your persuasion is, as well as feel free to share this out to get people to dogpile on in this discussion and share their input as well. Because this is something that's curious, and my thing is, again, I don't really care what a person does. It's just hypocrisy is really what bothers me as well. And Race, we've kind of had some of these discussions before, I believe, where it's like, okay, well, if we do it and it's okay, but then we hate on other people for doing something the same or similar, why? Because we disagree with them, so we're going to use language that's basically going to be, let's say, very provocative in order to try to get people to stop doing that. I think that does tie into kind of the aspect that you were touching upon about just straight jealousy. It's like, well, I'm jealous because I don't have that. Dude, I'd love to be getting hundreds of thousands of dollars of super chats and stuff. Part of me is like, oh, I should have joined the partner program back in the day. But I didn't, because you know what? I was very short-sighted. I did what I was told to do back in the day as well. And it's like, you know what? Coulda, shoulda, woulda. So you know what? You just got to grind it out and everything. And
going back to hypocrisy, I think there's a lot. If you take a lot of these people and you see how many of them are doing the whole, let's hold up the people and donate to them because they're okay, but let's shame these fans who donate to somebody we don't like. A lot of these people seem to be the same people who will shit on SJWs for using their SJW tactics, but then they'll go right around and use those same tactics against SJWs.
That's the thing that I kind of noticed over these past couple of years. I'm listening to these folks hating on these people for doing certain activities, and then they seem to be engaging in other activities. And welcome to the discussion, Laszlo, as well as Wookiee. I think I may have ruined something for him. Now he's like, it makes me wonder about Boomcock's super chats now.
If you really want to mindfuck, here's the thing that I've been saying every so often. Super chats are microtransactions for streamers.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's like when I bought Dragon Stones for frickin' Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle and stuff like that. I wanted to get that Bye Guys frickin' Goku and stuff and get those epic cards and stuff like that. What the fuck Pwn, the computer in a digitally based game. It is. So, Laszlo, what say you? What's the difference between super chatting and simping?
I honestly think it's intent.
Hmm.
Looking at Twitch, most of the Twitch women, in my opinion, seem to be on the booby streamer level,
Okay.
and you can't necessarily do that on YouTube. But basically, bottom line, it's intent. I just seen that what I've seen so far on a lot of these, especially what's going on right now with like the YouTube drama, like Invader V, Suzy Liu, etc. It's all to the fact that a lot of these people have this idea that if I give X amount of dollars, she'll acknowledge me, she'll meet up with me, blah blah blah. No, they're not going to.
Is
I
that a
just think that
realistic
intent,
expectation?
right? I just think that a lot of times people are, even older people, even myself included, who may think that if they give money, they respect something in return. And nowhere do I really think that these women actually think that. But bottom line is it's intent, and it's hard to gauge someone's intent. And I think that being that it's YouTube seems to be a little more less salacious than Twitch.
YouTube less salacious than Twitch. Again, I don't spend that much time on Twitch and everything. I'm actually just learning how to do the Twitch and everything. But again, hail Shellback as well. But I would argue that there's a lot of salacious stuff going on YouTube, typically more along the lines of drama and stuff, in that if somebody says something or does something that another person doesn't like, you'll have like the response videos. And I won't go into specifics, but I'll be straight up. There was one day I got up and somebody was doing a response stream to somebody's video. I go about my entire day getting ready to go to sleep, and the stream is still going on like 11 hours later. I'm like, why? And at least they were straight up about it. It's like, well, we think this person is doing stupid things, and we're going to make fun of them and hopefully make money off of it. At least that's an honest response there. It may be childish because we're simply perpetuating drama for drama's sake, and this happens in all different aspects there. And this is I think one of the problems that we have on the internet in general, in that we just keep on perpetuating a cycle of rage bait. It's almost like you see the Offendoboros behind me there.
Absolutely.
It's just kind of eating itself, and it just keeps on cycling there. Yeah, that's what I kind of see going on. So continue.
For several years, it's been an incestuous circle jerk about people bitching about other people's videos, bitching about other people's videos, bitching about other people's videos. It just goes around and around and around.
That's why dude. And I'm not gonna lie, because a lot of times it is fun as I'm fading in and out of existence there. It's I find it fun because when somebody did a response video to one of my videos, it was the Plague, the mysterious plague doctor, before we actually had this plague upon us and everything. So I just did, my first video was response video to Mr. the Plague. And I did another video, so I'm like, a response video to Mr. the Plague. Then it became a response video and response video, because those are the rules of the internet. If somebody says something or does something, you have a chance to respond. And I thought the highlighting of that it made me giggle.
I think the term you're looking for was a self-licking ice cream cone. It just snowballs, It just creates some sort of, the drama begets drama, and you just create more drama. And I think that does pay the bills in some respects. And I guess that I don't necessarily like it, but I do find it interesting. I mean, I don't sit there and surf Twitter and or surf Twitter or YouTube looking for these drama videos, but they pop up, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, I got nothing better else to do. So you look at it and you're like, oh, okay, and then all of a sudden it's the algorithm hits, and then they keep popping up from different people, and you're like, what the hell? And they most basically say the same thing. And usually, if you are the victim of it, I think I did a video on this a couple days ago where if you're doing something illegal and you're false flagging videos, people are going to start researching you because they got nothing better else to do right now, especially right now. And they're going to find whatever dirt you have, they're going to find it. Everyone's got dirt, just a matter of time before someone finds it. And then once that dirt gets a steam rolling, people start going, hey, wait a minute, what is this? And they start investigating, and then people investigate you. Like I said, it's a self-licking ice cream cone. It just becomes ridiculous after a while.
It's literally an everlasting gobstopper of, oh my God, look what they did. So That's no, and I love the analogy of a self-licking ice cream cone because if I don't know about you guys, but I love me some ice cream and everything. You don't want to eat too much. You might get a little gassy there, and then folks might not want to be around you. But if you're isolated, then who the heck cares? No, but just going back to the actual discussion here, it's just, and again, I haven't found a clear answer on what the difference is. I hear people say there's a difference. I have people that I tend to actually have a lot of respect for saying that's a difference. And what I've been able to boil it down to, from based upon what you gentlemen and some other folks have told me, is it does seem to be the intent. But now, are we not projecting intent upon others?
Oh, absolutely. If you don't know their intent, then you're basically making an opinion.
Some people do make their intent obvious in how they deliver their stuff, because part of the super chats is that you get to say what XYZ. Well, in the XYZ, you could pretty much figure out where their mentality is coming from. But I mean, to say you can read into their mind if they're whatever saying is neutral, that's just that's more that you have some sort of agenda. You're trying to get somewhere with it. You're trying to use that to attack people. That's not actually. It's not about.
We're being uncharitable to people.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's
also too. If you want to spend your money and do that, more power to you. I'm not going to stop you. I don't want to stop you. A fool and his money will soon part. So hey, you want to give these women even acknowledge your existence? Be my guest. But you're basically. You could do something better with that money than give it to somebody that probably holds you in contempt, more than likely.
You'd be better off just doing the same thing on Shatterbait or Plexstorm, where everything is the whole arrangement is much more explicit. That's another thing. And the thing with where it's on Twitch, it's implicit. It's not written out anywhere, and people are just, yeah.
Right. No. And again, this is why I think proper categories of things, like you said, if you're on Pornhub, Chatterbait, or something like that, folks know why you're there and everything, and like that seems to be a fairly obvious thing. But then again, there is also a bit more of a negative connotation for a lot of folks because it's like, oh, well, now I'm spending money on this and that for whatever reason, and that's a sin or something. But if, I'm just watching Twitch TV, I'm just watching people play video games, I'm supporting my favorite. So in our minds, we're like, oh, well, this is okay, this is not. But if we're treating this as the other, and we're convincing ourselves it's okay, is that not just mental gymnastics?
Another thing, too, is think about this. If you're in polite company, would you say, yeah, I was in Chatterbait last night and I was, giving a rub one off? And would you say that to, polite company? Or would you say, oh, yeah, the other night I was watching Twitch, some people play video games? What would you rather say?
Oh.
That would depend on the company. I keep some strange bedfellows.
Well. Then again, is that not a question of openness as well? Just because it's like, well, I've said this before and everything. It's like, dude, I have watched far too much. I've watched enough pornography for multiple lifetimes and frickin' literally jerked myself off into impotence. And then it's like, oh, that song where it's like, yeah, masturbation lost its fun. That could actually be true. You could actually get to that point, and then it's the point where it's like, oh, I should probably change this. And then you can make a decision to move forward. My big thing is, and you never know where another person's coming from, especially if somebody happens to be like alone and everything like that, and there happens to be a streamer that maybe they really do enjoy and everything, and you know what, if they got the girls out and everything and they're abiding by the terms of service, it's like, okay, they're engaging in capitalism there. Having a few nice words, that can go a long way for somebody. You know what, even if somebody spent a couple of bucks on it and everything, if that makes them feel good and gives them some peace of mind and lets their life be a little happier, it's like, well, why do we got to hate on that?
People got nothing better to do than hate.
Oh, well, I mean, hate seems to perpetuate it. So, and this goes back to what you gentlemen were saying a little bit earlier, in that on this internet of stuff and things, there seem to be a lot of folks that just, let's face it, we live in a rage bait society and everything. So it's like, if you have two videos, it's like a thorough discussion on how tax reform is going to affect you depending on your income bracket and place within society and stuff, versus President Trump frickin' slams Speaker Pelosi or destroys this person or stuff like that, because you have to have destroys in all capital letters for additional effect for that clickbait there. What do most folks usually click on? They click on the stuff that elicits strong emotion rather than necessarily giving them the maximum amount of useful information.
Yeah, no one wants to hear the output of grain production in 1907 in the United States. Who gives a crap? People want to hear, something that's current and germane to your life, I guess. Honestly,
the IRA blew up another government building today.
Well, that's the thing. It's because news very often it leads with disaster. It doesn't usually start off with just the sheer fact that so and so like rescued a firefighter rescued a kitten from a tree. It usually leads off with, "Oh my God, there was a horrific accident and stuff that was going on, and welcome, Ninja of the Pants."
Hey, buddy.
Can you hear me? We can hear you, man. We can hear you loud and clear. Monterey is highlighting Sun Tzu. Yes, know thy enemy as well as I know thyself. Something along those lines. I mean, it is very useful and everything. And my apologies to Wookiee in the chat. I completely took what you said out of context and was thanking you in a very offensive way. My bad there, sir. I only partially listen here and there and ADD. Yes, I'm blaming stuff. But continue, sir. So, Pants Ninja, what's the difference between super chatting and
I'm
and
not
simping?
familiar with the simping term.
It is a term that has come about that seems to be being used in an offensive manner to those that basically people support that they don't like, often in a very more sexualized context as well.
All right, so I got you, like cam girl stuff almost, but not like it's
Cam girl without the actual label, or at least adult camming. The adult camming, because I would say we're part of the cam industry right here.
Well, it's all perspective. Everything is. The difference, I mean, either way, you're donating money to somebody on cam for some kind of service they're providing, right? Entertainment of some sort or something to distract you, right? I mean, I just look at it as another business. Yeah, escapism. There's the word. Thank you.
Yeah, Led. Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir. We're having the debate of the hour of what's the difference between super chatting and simping, because it's not like one would be offensive and one is okay, and they may or may not be the same depending on motive, and some folks may or may not want to admit certain motives at certain times depending on the platform. But continue.
No, I'm just thinking. I mean, I don't know if there's much of a difference other than there's a common saying, especially entertainment, that sex sells, right? It's another...
Well, that's the thing. Like, what was it, like 10 years ago when you got, what was it, I think Paris Hilton or something, eating that big, juicy, delicious burger as she just happens to be eating it while she's washing a car in very short Daisy Duke-style shorts and everything like that. I mean, God, we obviously need some very strict social controls for that. I mean, it's not like she would be engaging in capitalism and free market values and everything there.
Yeah. That's a common thing that's been going on forever, man.
I just a thought just came to mind. You notice that the people who get the label of simp applied upon them, it's not typically because they watch straight up cam girls on ChatterBait, Pornhub, Plexform, or what have you. It seems to be only YouTube and Twitch, mostly Twitch. And I think there's also another point I'd like to bring up, and that is the law of the forbidden, which I'm not sure you may be familiar with, but things that we're not meant to see are attract our attention more than things that are just out there for the world to see. And I think that's why that's part of why a lot of these guys will go to Twitch to see a titty streamer as opposed to just going straight to Pornhub. Because Pornhub, that's just the norm. That's not, there's nothing off limits there. Nothing's left to the imagination for the most part. Whereas on Twitch, plenty is left to the imagination, but a lot gets teased.
Well, that is a very interesting thing, and I would actually be curious to see, and I should probably look this up at some point, the amount of money spent and processed on Pornhub versus Twitch. and everything, because it's like, okay, as you said, like leaving something to the imagination, just because anybody that has like, okay, you see a dude in like a very nice suit or something like that, that's one form, or you see a lovely young lady happens to be wearing a dress, or even vice versa there. It's that sheer unknown. It's like, oh, well, what else is going on here? What could that be and everything? I mean, see, I think this is one of the reasons why the fashion, the beauty industry, and everything like that are multi-billion-dollar businesses and stuff. Because these are things that do happen to matter to people. You can argue that they shouldn't matter, but I mean, in the world we live in, they seem to, whether it's for better or worse.
That's a solid point.
So, well, it's kind of like, it's like, okay, I like feet. It's like, oh my God, oh, you're so weird. Oh, you like feet and everything. Really? Well, it's not like the footwear industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and we've had young ladies on runways modeling all different types of footwear for hundreds or thousands of years.
Ew.
I mean, yes, that's the thing. Oh, at least you teased us. See, the sock was still on there. The sock was still on. Leave stuff to the imagination. Are there
$5
bunions?
and I'll take it off.
See, I've actually
$10 and I'll apply lotion to it.
See, no, actually, that feels good. That feels good. Actually, I was on a Facebook chat with some folks that were all cooped up a few weeks ago, and I thought one of my friends, she happened to have a foot fetish, and I was confusing her with someone else. So at one point, somebody had their camera kind of towards their feet, like, oh, we're showing feet now? Oh, so-and-so wants to show your feet. So we just went on, we started showing feet and everything. And you know what? It was actually kind of fun. I actually kind of enjoyed it. I'm like, you know what? If somebody else out there happens to derive pleasure from that, it's like, I personally don't care. I realize there are other folks there that they might find that abhorrent or something like that, but I'm like, all right, if somebody spends the time to watch you, to view you, whether they love you or hate you, they still spent the time and attention on you.
You think if somebody pays money to watch somebody smoke a cigarette with their foot, just have it right there? And
I mean, I saw one of my friends happening to smoke a butt with his butt.
oh no!
I mean, it just happened to be in a Discord that I scrolled through, and I'm like, oh, well, I mean, he does have a nice butt, but I mean, that's not something I really want to focus on. Not particularly my type. He might be a handsome gentleman as well. I'm never going to let him forget that I actually saw that as well. But hey,
did he queef the smoke out of his butthole as well?
I didn't try to find out if there was a video or not. Apparently, just somebody happened to take a picture of that, and I came across it, and now I'm like, oh, so do you want a butt for your butt, man? I'm sorry. Well, it's teasing, it's banter and everything. I happen to have known this individual for a while. It's like, I don't particularly care what another person does as long as you're not hurting another human being. So
The fact that people, you know what I mean, pay for such things means there's a market for it, right?
well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm trying to agree with you here, but it's interesting to me the psychology behind why we do what we do.
What?
I feel like it's a very hedonistic society. Everything's instant gratification.
Oh, well, that's how I lived my life for like the past 4 years.
Right.
That's the thing. It's like, wow, I probably spent a quarter of the past 4 years just freaking just being a complete and utter degenerate and everything. So it's like, oh, then I realized it's like, wait a second, maybe I could actually be productive. Maybe I could actually be useful. Maybe I could actually, I don't know, maybe start putting out a content. Maybe actually start to grow a brand or something like that. At some point down the line, be able to maybe earn some income off of that. I mean, that'd be kind of cool. I mean, that's personally in my mind, that's the American dream.
That's what this country was supposedly built on, right?
Well, and that's the thing. That's why I'm like, okay, so we got all these folks that very often, a lot of these folks seem to be very large proponents of capitalism, free market principles, and now they're hating on people using the free market to their advantage. Nani?
Oh.
You kind of see what I'm saying, though, right?
I'm with you. I'm just thinking that's an interesting thought.
I find it strange that whenever it's capitalism butts heads with religion, it seems to be with these people, a lot of these people, religion wins almost every time.
Depends.
Notice that?
Well, I would actually say probably a lot of these folks probably are agnostic, if not actual atheists at times. Again, not all. I'm not sure the demographic. I'm not sure what another person actually believes or holds in their hearts. But at the same time, a lot of these folks, at least maybe some of the larger commentators and stuff that are kind of going after folks for quote unquote simping, or people that are happy to be getting money from folks that are supporting them, it seems like they're kind of making a moral objection here. And at least the one thing that religion typically does it does establish certain morals. You may or may not agree with those particular morals or philosophies as well, but at least it is a system of guidance. And I feel like as we've seen a rise in maybe atheism or agnosticism, in that a lot of folks seem to have kind of just thrown morality in general out the window. And again, not everybody, and probably not even most folks, but other folks are like, well, if there is no almighty or something like that, let me just live in the moment right now. Let me just do this or do that. And it's like, oh, well, okay, well, if that's what folks want to do, why are you going to hate on somebody being able to earn a living off of other people taking pleasure out of it?
That's funny you mentioned the morals. I was going to make that point a second ago. Morality in society is the key here. I think that's the main focus of everything that we're talking about, you know? Because you can't just, like you were talking about being in civilized conversation, would you say, hey, I was on Chatterbait, whatever, you know? And that's because of a morality issue with whatever, you know, with that person.
Is it morality or fear of judgment?
Judgment, definitely.
Hand in hand. Yeah.
They can be in everything. And this is what, you see, my big thing, and one of my friends, he actually had a stream earlier, and he was discussing autism, because he happened to be diagnosed when he was 10 years old, that he happened to be on the spectrum, and he actually happened to be basically sexually assaulted when he was younger, and that greatly affected him. And one of the things I told him, I'm like, dude, man, hey, thank you for opening up, because I feel like some of the things that he was discussing and sharing with the world were things that I've kind of heard from other people, if not actually felt them myself, and that just a lot of folks aren't willing to open up about that for fear of being labeled as whatever. Oh, you're a freak, you're in the minority, this or that. And I sit back, and if there's one thing I've learned from the internet, it's, aside from Rule 34, is that I really believe we're all more similar than we are different. It's just a lot of us seem to not either be willing or feel extremely uncomfortable sharing certain things that are very difficult to talk about, because at least even within the past 10 or 15 years, even before today, they always said, what are the two things you didn't discuss? Religion and politics. Well, the internet opened up Pandora's box, so we've been talking about that. So I'm like, okay, well, if the genie's out of the bottle, let's actually deal with what may actually be issues that we're running into to try to help create a more perfect society, a more perfect union. Try to be able to work through these things, because I think most folks are good people, but just because you're a good person doesn't mean you don't do stupid shit.
That's human nature. That's how we learn.
Well, that's the thing. Well, see, my thing is, I think the story of humanity in general is that to overcome. Because like Monterey just put in the chat there, it's like, I lived my life like that for 15 years. Now I'm 33 and say I might go back to school for so many wasted years. That's the thing. We all make mistakes, but it's the ability to try to improve oneself, be able to improve those around you, improve your lot in life. That is the story of humanity, is to do better. And I think we can. It's just the way certain systematic structures and incentives are in place right now, it seems to be much more profitable to try to burn down other people's sides.
And I definitely believe that people burn down the other side out of not only sometimes fear of not understanding, but it's a personal, like, maybe sometimes they're deflecting personal issues onto another group. You know, that's another aspect.
Come on now. We all know nobody would ever project on the internet.
No, never, ever, ever. We're all real. I'm a French model, by the way. Let me just bring that up.
Oh, I like France.
Sure. Anything's possible on the internet, bottom line. Whether it's reality or not is up to us to decide.
I don't actually have a dick. I have 5 tentacles.
Oh.
Excellent. See, it's real.
I have 7 tentacles.
Oh, we have two Cthulhu kin on. Welcome, my fellow other kid. I'm a half Jewish dragon kid on this internet stuff and things. If you couldn't tell.
Yeah, I could tell. No.
Oh, you
Got it.
recognize
I
me.
like
I'm
the feeling
accepted.
of dragon teeth on my tentacles.
Oh. Well, I mean, I would say that's strange, but many years ago I heard about stories about, well, so-and-so gets off by having so-and-so stick pins into their member. I'm like, oh, well, that might not be my thing, but I mean, power to you, as long as it's consenting adults and everything. I mean, I may worry about if you have to go to the hospital and you got the poor nurse or doctor that has to extract those and everything. And this is why there's been certain public service announcements requesting that certain people stop sticking things up their butts.
And up their dickholes.
I mean, that too. That too. I mean, but you know what? Hey, that is also a medical thing. Sometimes you get a calf, man.
It happens.
There's a difference between a catheter and a padlock, though. It's happened.
What,
Yeah.
to you?
Not me, no.
Now, I've heard about elastic bands and everything. The padlock. See, I would think that. Oh, unless that was their thing, because that could. See, normally I would feel if you were unaroused, then you could probably be able to get out of it, depending on the size of both things of question right now. But then again, if that's your thing, then yeah, you might want to keep the key or know the combo.
Yeah, just don't lose the key. That's probably the key point in this conversation. If you do that, just don't lose the key.
I see what you did there.
I like that pun. Well played.
I know Laszlo is quite inquisitive.
Excellent.
But to turn things back around from all the other kinks and everything on this internet stuff and things, again, so what I've been able to derive from the conversation that we've had thus far is that the difference between super chatting and simping is intent.
Definitely.
Race?
Yeah.
Vance?
Mixed feelings. I still don't feel like I have enough information
That's
to make a
that.
good judgment.
No, that's wise. I mean, I don't know. That's why I kind of put this whole thing together, just because I'm like, okay, number one, I could start some drama on the internet because, I mean, Rule 14 of the internet, who doesn't love a good dumpster fire? Number two, well, maybe number one or two. I'm just going to say the worst possible case because I like drama and people abuse drama, and that's fine. Number two is I do notice a certain level of hypocrisy when I see people that are basically hating on folks for doing something, but then they're getting super chat, which is more or less the same thing as people giving bits on Twitch or bytes or whatever it is. I'm like, wait a second. But you're hitting on these people for live streaming and getting money. And now you're doing a live stream and getting money. And if we're projecting the worst possible intent on everybody, could that not same intent be put upon other people?
Yeah. I would like to say that I also don't have a problem when someone just gives money, regardless of the intent, because, I mean, even if the intent is what we're talking about, it's not going to materialize anyway. So there's no consequence there. The only time I have an issue is when there's the false promises, the false advertising. Like I mentioned earlier with Amaranth, trying to make herself out to be single and teasing and everything when in fact she's married.
Right.
Huge thing.
Right. Well, that is false advertising in that respect there, and everything as well. And I mean, again, I'm not. If all of a sudden somebody acknowledges something, and then it's all of a sudden you see people dropping off in their business and stuff. I mean, that would seem to insinuate that there was a certain level of additional, perhaps, motive, whether conscious or not, that would be a reason why certain folks were kind of going in that direction. I'm not saying that it's not a thing. What I'm saying is if we're some folks are going after somebody on a particular platform because, well, this is happening there, maybe we should look in the mirror and say, oh, is it happening with us as well? I don't know. But, yeah, so we've been going for about an hour right now, so I think we'll get ready to wrap it up. So let's go around real quick. Let's do final thoughts. Race, what say you? What are your final words for the people?
Save your thirst coin for Chaturbate and Pornhub, and save your bits for people who play good games.
Cool. Laszlo, what say you?
Save your money. There's a lot of free entertainment on the internet, so you don't need to pay some person to tease you, and you just get it for free.
All right.
Because a lot of people, the reason people pay for things on the Chatterbait is because it's basically dance monkey dance dollars. So you get to, you get to control how things go.
Right. It's you're setting up for, and that's one of the reasons why I think certain people will pay for stuff like that, because it's like people say, oh, well, porn and stuff is free. It's like, okay, but well, what if that's not exactly what they want? It's basically you are paying money for customization. That's the thing. You can get a car, but you want a custom paint job. It's like, well, you got to pay extra and stuff for that.
It's a good analogy.
I apologize for my misogyny there, because I'm comparing now off to the people to cars and stuff, and oh god, the objectification. I'm going to hell. Pants, what say you?
Huh. Well, I say spend your money however you want to spend it, but I will suggest that there are better ways to spend it than on such things mentioned.
All right. Well,
Yeah, membership.
all right. Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's like you can do what you want. It's your money. You can do what you want. All I gotta say is, well, maybe we should look in the mirror before we start judging other people. Something like what was it Professor Peterson said? Clean your own room and put your own life in order before you go around and criticize the world. Maybe it's not the worst advice at all. Professor Peterson, hope you're doing well. Blessings to you and your family. Thank you all for watching. Peace out, everybody. Stay safe, and long live the elbow bump. Boop and boop. And the thing.